Good afternoon, Colorado. My name is John Deloach. I am the senior staff attorney for the South Carolina Association of Counties.
I'm Sue Leeson, Senior Justice, Oregon Supreme Court.
I'm Beth Ratway. I'm a Senior Technical Assistance Coordinator at the American Institutes for Research.
I'm Ruby Luthold, and I'm a junior.
I'm Annabelle Filippini, and I'm a junior.
I'm Hagen Archer, and I'm a senior.
I'm Stephanie Danahay, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ellie Adams, and I'm a junior, and our teachers are Matthew Fulford and Mandy Hostetter.
All right. Well, it should come as no surprise. We'll be reading question 2 from Unit 2. So if you are ready, I will read the question and then you can begin. One founder claimed that representatives should refine and enlarge the public views by passing them through the medium of a chosen body of citizens whose wisdom may best discern the true interest of their country. Do you agree with this or disagree with this claim? What alternative system of representation were considered by the founders? What alternative systems of representation, if any, should be considered in the 21st century?
James Madison argued that elected representatives in a republic should listen to the citizens, but apply their own judgment, experience, and knowledge to make decisions. Although his argument made sense under the conditions at the time, it no longer accurately represents the world we live in today. Many of the founders believed that ancient Greek democracies had succumbed to rule by demagogues and mobs and feared the same result from a new US Constitution that was too democratic. As Madison explained in Federalist Number 10, pure democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths.
For that reason, a large majority of delegates to the convention shied away from ancient and modern confederacies and sought instead to establish a representative democracy or republic. Mindful of the ancient philosopher Plato had claimed that republics were only effective in small communities, Madison went out of his way to argue that the United States was different, and argued in Federalist 10 that a republic applied to a large and diverse nation would be even more effective by eliminating factions. Madison did not, however, believe that an elite system of representatives would inevitably make the right decisions. To the contrary, he feared that ambitious, powerful politicians would make decisions to benefit their political party or themselves rather than the country.
For that reason, Madison argued in Federalist 51 that in framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. And famously, he argued for a system of checks and balances with the goal that ambition must be made to counteract ambition. However, Madison also believed that politicians would be perfectly equalized and assimilated in their possessions, their opinions, and their passions, and would apply their superior judgment and experience to make decisions for the good of the country. The debates over representation at the Constitutional Convention accepted this point of view, took for granted that pure democracy was a dangerous thing, and instead focused on representation amongst the states.
Specifically, the alternative forms of representation considered by the founders included the New Jersey Plan and the Virginia Plan. The Virginia Plan allocated the number of senators and representatives to the states based on their tax contributions or to their free population, resulting in a system that would favor the larger states in the Union. On the other hand, the New Jersey Plan gave each state equal voting power, favoring the smaller states. In the end, the Great Compromise allocated equal representation in the Senate and proportional representation in the House. Despite the convention's focus on elite representation in Congress, some observers have recently concluded that political elites are in fact more likely to lead the country astray. Well-known conservative David Frum, writing in The Atlantic, recently argued that the authors of the Constitution feared mass participation would unsettle the government, but it's the privileged minority that has proved destabilizing. Like Frum, we believe that the United States needs to shift towards more of a democracy rather than less. Historically, we have seen that the increase of democracy within the United States through the allocation of more power to the people is necessary for the country to evolve.
One way to ensure a more democratic system is to stop partisan gerrymandering of House districts, which can lead to a congressional majority that does not represent a majority of the people. According to Wayne Dawkins, in America, voters don't pick their politicians. Politicians pick their voters. We propose a constitutional amendment against gerrymandering to ensure House districts are drawn more fairly and more accurately represent the people. Specifically, we propose a change similar to Amendment Y in Colorado. Under Amendment Y, 12-member commissions design and approve new districts. They are equally divided between unaffiliated voters and the state's two largest political parties. In other words, 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 4 unaffiliated voters. For any revisions to pass, a supermajority of 8 commission members with at least 2 unaffiliated voters is needed. We are now open for questions.
Sue or Beth, you want to take the first question?
I want to start with James Madison, and then our other questions will probably bring us up to more modern times. Did I understand you right to say that Madison believed that factions should be equalized in order to make decisions for the good of the country? I just did not understand your statement about what Madison believed about making decisions for the good of the country.
Madison believed that politicians would be assimilated in their opinions, their passions, and would be able to make decisions based off of that for the good of the country. He believed by doing that and having a set of elected representatives, this would eliminate factions, because factions were one of his biggest fears.
Okay, well, I thought he argued in Federalist 10 that eliminated factions would be the equivalent of eliminating liberty. And that is as dangerous as giving everybody the same point of view. Help me understand, because it seems to me that we start from Madison and then we work forward.
He believed.
Anybody else help?
As we expressed in the opening, from our understanding of what he believed, it was that he believed that the elite set of representatives would be able to make the decisions as come through the people, and that would further prevent factions from forming, because the elite set of representatives would then transition what the people believed into implementing it into government.
Additionally, today, we see that this shift from elite representatives to more of the public needs to happen, as more of the public is becoming more educated in politics, therefore should have more of a say in politics overall.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, I have no way as an ordinary citizen of running for political office. And I have a whole lot of great education. I don't have the money. Did Madison anticipate that, or is that something new?
Well, I think that because they were elites, they had the money, but now we can see that a lot of the campaigns is taken up by finance, and that is something that I feel should not happen, because a lot of the finance can be used for other things that are needed more than just campaigning.
Madison's original intent was that government would be governed and the representatives would be the elite, as expressed by many of the members at the Constitutional Convention were the elite of society. And today, campaign finance plays a big role in that, and established in the 2010 Citizen United case, it was established that people are allowed to donate as much money as long as it's not directly in line with the campaign.
So should there be a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United?
Yes, we believe that there should be, and as Justice John Paul Stephen proposed in his book, 6 Amendments, he proposed an amendment to limit campaign finance because money is not considered speech. It is only a way to amplify one's speech. And he is quoted saying that the voter is less important than the man who provides the.
Good. Thank you.
Beth, I think you're muted.
It's a day. Can you help me unpack how you ended your presentation? So talking about partisan gerrymandering, above that, you talked about wanting to give more power to the people. Can you correlate that to me? How does partisan gerrymandering, and I understand the structure and the amendment, why, but how does that result in more power to the people?
So by there being less partisan gerrymandering, there will be an extension of voter rights, as there has been over time, like the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, the 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship, the 15th Amendment, which gave African Americans the right to vote, the 17th Amendment, which was the direct election of senators. And by dismantling partisan gerrymandering, this will make it so that those elections are more equal and so that it will more accurately represent democracy.
Additionally, we can see democracy continue to evolve through the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote, the 22nd Amendment, which limits presidents to 2 terms, and the 23rd Amendment, which gives citizens in DC the right to vote in federal elections.
And not including the Bill of Rights, the 17 amendments that were ratified to the Constitution and disregarding the 2 about prohibition that contradict each other, there have been 15 amendments that have been ratified, and over half of those have to do with voter rights. And in order to continue this pattern of history and giving more power to the people, we believe that proposing amendment against partisan gerrymandering would in addition help this.
So it's amendment. You wanted to amend a full amendment like the one in Y, or Amendment Y in Colorado, to do that. Do you think that that's going to be the optimal way to give people more voice when you just all listed some different, court cases and other, you said a lot of the different amendments, but those took a long time. So do you think the amendment process is the right process to go through for this, or are there other options?
Another option is HR 1, and that would help bring more people into giving more people a voice in Congress.
While Congress does have the authority over this, it's also argued that since gerrymandering is never actually listed in the Constitution, would it be eligible for a constitutional amendment to be ratified? And therefore, we support the commissions that are proposed in House Resolution 1.
So let me ask you this. How are congressional districts and state legislative districts drawn? Who does that work right now?
So currently, the people who do this, who draw the districts and for the districts are state legislators.
Right.
And, yes.
And are you proposing that be shifted to a national decision?
We're proposing that one of the possibilities would be to shift it to what we have, similar to what we have in Colorado, where we have basically 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats, and 4 non-affiliated voters drawing the districts, and it's on this commission.
Yeah. And I get that, but what I'm asking is, are you saying that should be done by a nonpartisan commission at the national level, or this is an amendment that dictates to all states how they're going to do it?
We are arguing that this is an amendment that dictates to all states, so it would still be on the state level.
Okay, thanks.
But it dictates to the state. Now, in my state, no one knows who is a Republican, who is a Democrat, who is someone else, because we don't have party registration. How do you handle that? A citizen commission couldn't be formed by party unless you force voters to identify themselves and register.
Well, you could, go ahead, Ellie.
In that sense, it would still be a citizen commission, and that it would be decided in that way rather than the political parties shifting. May I answer may I finish my response?
Sure, go ahead.
And additionally, in Article 1, Section 4, it establishes that states are able to determine the times, place, and manners of the elections. And as established in Shelby County v. Holder, there tends to be problems between that and the ability that Congress has to overreach on that power that is established in Article 1, Section 4.
Super. Thank you.
I can start.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much for a really passionate conversation about hard topics. You could tell that we might not look like it, but we did enjoy it. We're just poking and really asking questions because we're trying to even push ourselves in thinking. So that's what these conversations are about. You had the flow that the question requires, right? You did the history. I would like to hear more, and Sue and I talk about this too, more of the kind of state history that led to that, not just Virginia and New Jersey, but what other experiences did they bring to the table? Because there are multiple. and maybe a little deeper into alternative systems of representation that they did consider, besides the kind of the normal ones that we always talk about. There was lots of conversation about that, just digging into that a little bit.